before we got on the field, me and Coach Dave called it. It was like, we go call this play and you got to go get it. So I already knew the ball was coming. Me, I just had to go out and make a play. Me and Coach Hart, I always preach, we got to win first man on man. So that's what I'm told to do, and that's what I'm going to do. Regardless if it's man or something, I just got to go out there and win and catch the ball.
Jeremiah, I think 9 catches tonight was ties your career high.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that? But what does that mean to you, if at all?
It don't mean nothing to me. Just got to continue to go out there and play football. That's all. Yeah,
All right,
Coach Jackson is that guy, and you're going to see more of that throughout the rest of the season.
Great. Jeremiah, thank you.
When you have on 63 plays just under 600 yards, I think it's more about when we got down to the red zone, we weren't able to execute, and those runs were not efficient. So I'm going to obviously watch the film and figure out if it was, scheme, if it was coaching, or if it was personnel. And we got to do a better job when we get down the red zone. We got down there a couple times, had to settle for field goals, and went for it the first time, kicked the field goal the second time, didn't want to get greedy, and then on the touchdown to CJ, we don't get in. We step out of bounds at that moment in that game. Again, can't let ego get in the way, and just kick the field goal. And let's not get this game into a situation we put ourselves at risk. Because I felt like we were moving the ball well, we just had to finish the drives off, which is frustrating. But these are the things that we have to learn, and we learned a lot of lessons tonight. As we continue to open up the offense, like in a 2-minute drill, or we're throwing the ball, we have to learn when it's time to take a sack. These are all the lessons that we're going to have to work through, and the only way to do that is to play through them. And there'll be some lessons learned tonight, but I was excited about the way that we didn't panic, and I think that's a sign of growth and maturity, because it's easy, and you can feel in the stadium when things aren't going well. When we come out and we just kind of move down the field, and it feels like, wow, this is going to be one of those games, and then you don't score, and then before you know it, you come out in halftime, you see the score, they score a touchdown, and say, what is going on? And it's easy to everyone to tense up in that moment, but everybody kept playing. Brandon did a great job on the punt return to get us going. We threw the ball in the perimeter. I thought Jeremiah and Brandon did a great job getting Carnell, and then we hit the big post, and it kind of opened up from there. When we're firing on all cylinders, you can see how explosive we can be. But if we're not going to score touchdowns in a red zone, we put ourselves at risk. So that was a really long answer to say there's a lot more to it than just the rushing.
All right, we'll go to
one little glitch, I guess.
Yeah, and they have a very good scheme, and they do a nice job, and they really milk the clock and try to shorten the game, which is smart on their end. And they're a good team, and they're going to make some plays, but other than a couple explosive plays, certainly the long pass, I thought our defense played strong tonight. Did a nice job against a good team, a good offense. They do a great job. The quarterback's very good. But I thought we were physical, ran the ball, played hard. Again, there's a lot of issues there that we're going to get fixed. There's no question. And again, it's our job to identify them and get them fixed. No. I mean, the throw to Carnell could have been a little bit stronger. I think Carnell wishes he had that one back. He could have taken it over his head. The fade throw to Jeremiah, I thought we could have been cleaner. We just stepped out of bounds on the one. We did have a penalty. And when you start to drive right around the 10-yard line, you can't mess around in that moment. Like when you're trying to get a touchdown from first and goal from the 10, you got to be on point in everything you're doing. And I just think it was a little bit of a lack of execution. But we have good ideas down there. We have the right packages going in. I think we can coach it better, and I think we can execute better. Yeah, and it will be. It'll continue to be, because the good news with Lincoln is Lincoln can throw it and he can run it. So I thought he did a nice job reading it. He found himself right behind that double team in the puller and hit it. So that was a good conversion for us. We do have more things for him, but the whole offense available when Lincoln's in there. So we'll keep looking at that and probably have some of that available. Not that it's not going to be a surprise, so it's not a secret. Have some of that available in the red zone if we're having a hard time. Something to go to is as a weapon. Yeah, we're going to try to identify those things, and you're right. And part of that is playing through it with some inexperienced guys, but there's no question. We turn the ball over to 2-minute drill. We don't score in the red zone, so we better spend some time on that during the bye week, because you're right. Situations are important. And in a game where, they only have 55 plays and we only have 63, the percentages of situations become higher because you're not playing, 70 and 80 plays. So we got to get better in those areas, and we'll make sure we address them. I thought you played well, a lot of good plays, but what you have to learn, learn as a quarterback. I say it's just like golf. Like, you can have a great day, but if you hit, 2 in the water, your round's ruined. It's the same way here. And a tip ball on a 2-minute drill could cost you a game. And then we got a chance to put them away up 3 scores. Going to get our 4th score, and in that moment he knows he's got to take the sack, which is not something that he's had to do before. I think we had the play open. If you're watching on film, Max was open down the sideline. I think he saw that. We got some penetration. Our guard got knocked off, and so the end came right up the field in his face. In that moment, he knows he's got a third hand that, which is his chest. Go down, take the sack, take your medicine, and to see another day. So a lesson learned. But that being said, and he threw some good balls. I thought again he had good timing. I thought his deep balls were excellent tonight. The first one down the left sideline to Jeremiah had a lot of air on it, which allowed him to go make a play. I thought both posts were well thrown. Had good rhythm, but those are all good, and we got to play through those things. So it's good in a situation like this, and that's why we tried to. I called the timeouts to get it 2 minutes out there, because you got to play through these things, and you got to learn from them. So it was a spy that jumped in the window on him. How do you get in front of that one? Okay, when there's a spy right there looking at you and kind of mirroring you, you got to make sure you understand that, because the read was to throw the ball at tight end, but there was a guy right there. He tipped the ball in the air and created a turnover. So these are all the things. The more you play, the more you're remembering as opposed to learning.
All right, hard to read right now because you still won comfortably, but I know you won't ever be truly satisfied. How do you feel about that overall tonight?
We're definitely frustrated in the first half with our inability to score touchdowns in the red zone, and then encouraged with the way we responded in the second half is probably the safest way. Somewhere in there's a lot of other things going on, but I think a lot of it we got to get on the film and identify it. The game was moving quickly, and but I will say again that I felt like the sideline, the players, the look in their eye, there was never any panic, which is a good sign for a young team. And we got to make sure we're doing our part as coaches, putting them in the right situation. The tight ends give us some versatility, as you can see tonight, just with some of the things we're doing. And then Bo Jackson, has some big playability, and he can catch the ball well out of the backfield. So, I thought, James had some runs in the second half that were better for him. I thought CJ ran hard on a couple of good runs, especially the third one with the big grouping in the game. It was a free guy in the hole, and that's sort of short yardage running. You got to run and be your own blocker, and he did. Ran through contact, so there were some good things there. But Bo has some home run hitting ability, which is a weapon for us, and we'll figure out how that fits in moving forward. And the more he plays, the more he's going to learn. But you can see the vision, and you can see the explosiveness.
I think we're still figuring that out, that rhythm, to be quite honest. We saw some groupings in the game where we had multiple backs in the game at once, not a lot of them, but a couple. We have multiple tight ends in the game. I think we're trying to figure out which grouping gives us puts the most stress on the defense and puts our guys in the best situation to be successful. I think the good news is, when you go from three wide receivers in the game and 1 tight end to 2 tight ends, 2 receivers in the game to 3 tight ends, 1 receiver in the game to 4 tight ends, no receivers in the game, 2 backs, 1 tight end, 2 receivers. Like, there's a lot of different things now. The defense has to have different packages and prepare for all of those things. So, we're still trying to identify, because you have an idea what you're going to see in practice, but then it doesn't always carry over to the game. And then you see things in a game, and you start to see guys have success. And as coaches, we got to put them in those situations more and figure out how to build on those packages. So, a lot of work to do here in the bye week, because this run that we're about to go on is going to be a difficult run. We have to go to Washington. Just talking to the team about this. We're going to come back, play Minnesota, then we're going to go to Illinois, to Wisconsin, and that's going to be a difficult run. There's some good teams there, and so we got to make sure that we got our ducks in a row as we head into this run. They're deep play threats, and then
Again, when you can throw and catch them like that, it just
it opens up so many other things. And, you know, they were playing pretty low, lower than probably we expected, lower than we usually see. And so it was, you know, big plays to be had out there. And I think they kind of challenged Julian to throw the ball with a young quarterback. Let's see what happens, you know. And I thought it was a good plan. They did a nice job. And we didn't finish off the drives in the red area. And so they found themselves in the game in the second half. So, you know, credit to them. You know, they played well so far this year. They'll have a good season, but you can see when we get those two guys in particular downfield, they're a major threat in any type of one-on-one situation.
How that felt to work that so well.
Yeah, great plays by Carnell and Jeremiah. You know, I think we work on those throws a lot in practice, and you know, Coach Day and Coach Fessler always are telling our quarterbacks, you know, throw it high, give them the air, so they can adjust, and they made two great catches. I was excited to see it come down with it.
Go over here to Stephen Means.
Julian, can you just walk us through the second interception specifically? Did you see the rusher coming your way? Can you just tell us your point of view of what happened on that second interception?
Yeah, felt the pressure. And, you know, we talk about third hand help when you're getting pressure in the pocket. You know, protect the ball, put it on your body. And I was too loose with it, and obviously, ball came out. Just keeping the energy high. You know, I think, you know, all the guys on offense knew we were moving the ball consistently. We just had to execute. And you know, it starts with me. We got to execute more in the red zone. You know, those first three drives, we didn't get a touchdown in the red zone, so we got to get better there. And you know, it's all about execution and improving.